It is bull versus bear time. So before we get to your example trades, we got to get each of your thoughts on Nvidia. Joe, I'll start with you. Your take on Nvidia.
Earnings are May 20th, so we got 2 weeks to go. I think right now Wall Street is expecting for about an 86.6 billion in Q2 revenue. These are huge numbers. That's about 85% year-over-year growth. I think you said it right, Diane, in that are we in this second inning or maybe mid innings, if you will, in terms of kind of the AI play, because for the first couple of years it was all chip processing and building the chips to power the compute needed for this, and now we're starting to get into the inference stage. And does that mean that Nvidia won't be the major player? I don't believe that that's necessarily the case, but I do believe, as we mentioned in the last segments, there's more players in the space. And competition's catching up, and I think the bigger thing is that the hyperscalers are now building their own chips. I mean, look at what Google's doing with its TPU, for inference, and where we are in that stage. And I think that is something that the street is looking at. There's a reason probably that Nvidia is up 10% in the last month, as opposed to an AMD that's up 60%, or an Intel that's basically up 100%. I mean, it's just, sometimes it's a popularity contest. Sometimes it's just where is the demand and where's the good story? I don't know. I mean, I still see numbers that 83% year-over-year revenue growth, 60 to 70% earnings growth, and an evaluation that still looks relatively cheap. The stock did rally to 216 not that long ago before pulling back to around 198. It just bounced off its kind of 21-day exponential moving average right there at around 198. It looks like it's having a decent day today, and if it can build off of some of that momentum, it might have an opportunity to go back and challenge those highs again.
Kevin, I got to use one of your phrases for the number that Joe just gave, 86.2 billion. Those are video game numbers. All right, Kevin, your take on Nvidia.
Yeah, Diane and Joe, I think we have to apologize to our viewers. We're temporarily renaming this segment Bull versus Raging Bull, because I don't know how you could be bearish this name right now with everything that we see going on in these markets. So I think it's going to be real tricky. I went out this morning and I really started looking. What's the difference between AMD and Nvidia? And AMD's got the CPUs, right? But the GPUs, which is by far the most popular part of AI right now, is 90% driven by Nvidia. And so not only all the incredible money that they're making, competition, Joe is 100% right. Competition is eventually and starting to creep into this business. That said, remember, there's a Vera Rubin chip sitting on the horizon that's about to start, which is even better than all these. And this has happened before. AMD starts to creep up to Nvidia. Nvidia comes out with their new chip and pulls away further. Do I know that's going to happen? I have no idea. But there's a better chip waiting on the horizon for Nvidia. Joe's right. They have earnings on May 20th. I think that this is going to be a fascinating next couple weeks, just because of what just happened in AMD and the crazy valuations that we find ourselves in. So, listen, it's one of those situations where Joe, Kevin talk. You want to be bearish on Nvidia? Nope, not me. Okay, well, so that's kind of where we are with this stock. And you're right, it has underperformed the popularity, possibly over-owned, but certainly, I mean, it's worrisome, the numbers that they may be able to put up in a couple weeks.
neither of you guys wanted to pick up the hot potato on that one, so it's so Jay, it feels like the wind is at the back of the bulls.
It
What's
sure
your take?
is. It's been a nice wind. Earnings season, we have just seen consistent beats across the board. The fears of inflation really impacting the bottom line has not come through in most of these conference calls. We're seeing some pockets where it's a concern, but this market has kind of defied some logic. When it went down, it didn't go down as much as people had feared with all the headlines. You know, we go back Venezuela, we go back to the SCOTUS decision, and of course the big one, the conflict with Iran and rising gas prices. Yet the market has been able to disconnect, focus on earnings, and focus on the leadership that took us up to these levels before we receded, and that was technology.
So I'll get into tech just a minute. Higher highs, you know, that we're seeing in the market. So it feels like there's kind of a reset that's happening along the way. The volatility's pulled back. VIX is sitting around 17 right now. So it does feel like it's still risk on. Let's talk about over in the tech. The AMD, big rally there, rally in semis, memory names.
Yeah.
What's your take on that? Are we getting ahead of our skis?
Well, I think we are finally starting to get ahead of our skis. It has been risk on, and when you see these DRAM stocks, the memory stocks, the SanDisk, the Seagates, the Microns, go up as much as they have, granted, it's warranted because the earnings have been so great, but now it's getting a little parabolic, and they should pause at these levels. I wouldn't go chasing these names, but when you see these names pause, what you want to look for is a rotation into other names that have been lagging. Can we get back into the software names? Can we start to see a Microsoft come back? Can a Meta come back? Come a Palantir, which had fantastic earnings and was not rewarded for it? Can the sentiment return to some of those names? So what I'm looking for is, all right, a little pause in the momentum there, but this risk-on environment, it's going to. Stocks that have been risky in the past. We're looking at nuclear stocks catching a bit again. Quantum stocks, remember them last October?
Yes, we've been quiet.
They're starting to come back. They've been beaten down. So we're seeing rotation intra-sector, and then other sectors like industrials continuing to do well. We've seen the defense sector, ironically enough, when the conflict started on February 28th, which was a Saturday, the peak was March 2nd, that Monday we opened trading in the ITA, the defense sector ETF, and those names have gone down. They've gotten down almost 20%. This could be a level where we rotate back into those names as, the conflict ends and we see a supply shortage in some of these defense contractors. So I want to see rotation into industrials led by defense coming up.
Okay, so one more quick question on tech. AMD is outperforming Nvidia.
Sure is.
Do you think Nvidia is at a point where it could catch some more love again?
It should. Nvidia has become slow and steady now, which you've seen out of an Apple, which is more expected because they don't have that revolutionary revenue spend and these ridiculous revenue numbers. I think Nvidia is cheap here. I have seen it consolidate over several periods in the last 4 years, not this long. It's finally breaking out to new highs. Earnings in 2 weeks, so we'll probably see the next leg higher led by Nvidia, but it could be keeping us at these levels, not taking us the next leg higher as we rotate back into that. Broadcom making new highs. So I think for the long-term investors, if you're upset that this stock that's been a juggernaut for years isn't off to the races like it has been, it's a $4 trillion company. It's the biggest company in the world. It will get to $5 trillion. If it's not there, it's a skosh below right now. But Nvidia, to me, will remain the leader, and it will be rewarded in time if you're not happy with the reward you've had over the time period, the last 2 to 5 years. If you've been in this stock, I would never sell that stock. I think it is the leader and will continue to be, but you're seeing catch up because of the parabolic spend that we've seen in these memory names. Has just been unbelievable.
I like that President Trump is inviting NVIDIA and Apple CEOs on the China trip. What do you think of that?
Well, it's good to have company, I guess. I don't know. The new Apple CEO is going to have his hands full with that. Look, I think that the context of the president's trip to China is just immense. What's going on with oil and with oil prices and this war that President Trump has chosen to take on has had a tremendous effect on China. China's managed to continue to get oil. China also is well prepared for this, but what does this mean for Chinese business? What does this mean for what we've done in the U.S. to use so much of our military capacity and missile capacity in particular as it relates to our ability to protect Taiwan, as China has repeatedly said that they want to take over Taiwan. And indeed, President Xi's time on this earth is, I'm sure he's considering that he wants Taiwan as part of mainland China again. And what does that mean for the choices President Trump has made in the last year militarily, in the last few weeks militarily, and how that affects Taiwan? I think that looms so much larger than the relationships of Nvidia and Apple and those companies that I follow as it relates to China and Taiwan and the U.S.
Yeah. Can we talk a little bit about Corning? This was a name that you highlighted for us, and look at it now at new 52-week highs, and now 183 today, but went as high as 195 recently. Some of your thoughts, because this was a name that you focused on, and it's doing so well. So kudos to you.
Right, you and I have talked about. We've talked about Coherent, we've talked about Corning, we've talked about Lumentum, we've talked about Applied Optoelectronics reports after the close today. We've talked about Fabrinet. What is this all about? It's about optical and AI. And what we've seen is a focus going away from just the semiconductors and the Nvidia story of 3 years ago, which is still obviously a huge important company and so important in the world of AI, and broadening out to AMD, which you just mentioned. But we've moved from just a discussion about semiconductors and then semiconductors and power to connectivity and the ability to scale out and to scale up and to scale across. All of these things are using optical connectors from some of the companies I just mentioned, and yes, using fiber from Corning. And the stories out of Corning, I think that there's maybe a little bit too much focus on the quarter by quarter and the momentary guidance about revenues or whether they beat or missed on earnings and how much. And the big picture here is we see double-digit growth from this giant company that is really in the catbird seat in the same way that Nvidia was with GPUs. Corning is with fiber, and you can't have AI without fiber connectivity. Well, maybe it's not as complex as building a semiconductor. What they're doing in fiber is just jaw-droppingly complex, and they're the only one out there doing this. And it's been great for Corning's top line and bottom line.
I know you're not a stock picker, but if you talked about a few companies that were in the right place at the right time right now for growth, if you wanted to give us 3, 4, 5 companies, can you just not tell me why, just give me the list, because I'm almost out of time and I don't want to miss them.
Well, I'm still focused on these optical companies because the businesses are doing well. When the businesses do well, the stocks do well. So when you look at what's happening at stocks, that I own, full disclosure, companies like Coherent, companies like Fabrinet, a ticker FN, and yes, Corning GLW, they're seeing orders rush in the door, and they're making great products that are necessary for the next phase of the AI build out. These are things I like to keep an eye on because the companies are doing quite well.
And what's your Mag 7 favorite these days?
I don't have a Mag 7 favorite. I try to find places where I can my research can provide me with an edge so I can understand these companies better than the rest of the world. If the rest of the world's looking at the Mag 7, I'm going to be looking somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, there's an age-old adage on Wall Street that says to sell in May and go away. I believe that stay in May and let AI lead the way is more appropriate for this year.
So it's all about AI.
It's all about AI. Despite the war in Iran, despite rising oil prices, despite lingering inflation fears, AI revolution continues. And as we learned from Q1's earnings report, these hyperscalers continue to spend billions of dollars to build out their AI infrastructure.
How can you say that the peace process, which is still touch and go, and we really don't know just yet about this one-page proposal and how the Iranians are going to react to it, and we've seen this movie before where there was hope and then it's dashed.
Oh, yeah.
But how can you say that today that is not an issue, especially when you look at West Texas Intermediate now well below $100 a barrel?
I think the prospects for resolution we're getting closer and closer to, and once we do see some tankers move through the Strait of Hormuz, oil prices ease, but not back down to $67 overnight. That could take months to get to. So inflationary pressures may stay for some point in time, But gas prices should start to ebb down, and that changes consumer sentiment because 70% of our economic growth comes from consumer spending. When consumers have more to spend, the economy grows.
We right now are seeing a huge rally on sort of buy on the rumor.
Yes.
We know what supposedly follows, the old Wall Street adage, sell on the news.
Yes.
What are some sell on the news stocks if and when there is a signed peace proposal on both sides?
Yes.
What do you say get rid of at the moment?
Yeah, I think you have to look at the energy sector, Liz. It's up 33% year to date, the top performing sector in the S&P 500. But if we do get a resolution in Iran, if tankers start flowing again, if oil prices start to come down, some of those energy names are not going to perform as well as other names.
Look at the XLE, the Spider Energy here.
Yeah.
It's down over the past week, just 1.5% on one. And here we go, one day down 4 1/3%.
It's a very crowded trade right now. But then I look at some of the big integrated players like a Chevron, like an ExxonMobil, that are going to be involved in the reconstruction efforts, not only in Iran, but also in Venezuela. They're going to have staying power. Some of those other names that have just been riding this energy tailwind, they're more susceptible to downside.
I was just looking at China stocks.
Yes.
Bilibili, Alibaba, JD,
Yes.
They are rallying big time. Now, the Iranian foreign minister today was in China, and China apparently put out a statement saying that they are encouraging the peace process to move forward.
Now, do we believe that? I'm not sure. But I do know China's in trouble. Not only do they need our advanced chips, but they also now need our oil. So that's going to bring them back to the trade negotiation table with President Trump. Short term, that could be seen as a big question mark. Long term, that could be a net positive for the U.S. and perhaps making some of those Chinese investments more attractive to U.S.